makes us politically inconsistent.
Yeah, and I think that therein lies the challenge. And I think that it is a very healthy and necessary discussion for these times because as we see society become more progressive on social issues, the church and those that are involved in the church, like you and I are going to have to decide where we go on these issues. They're not going away. They're going to increase and they're going to intensify. Thank you, Reverend Waldron. Even though you're on the road, you've been doing the show every week. Thank you so much. Let me thank my executive producer, Fatih Muhammad, producer of this show, Nidha Khan, technical producer, Lee Majors. Don't forget tonight and every night, Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central Time. Watch me on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live on MSNBC. Among my guests tonight will be the former chairman NAACP, Julian Bond. You're going to want to see this one. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow. Keep it real.
Why are you calling me on my cell phone? Yes, go ahead. What is it?
The views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of either WGCV 620 AM, its staff or management, or our parent company, Glory Communications Incorporated.
Get ready. Armstrong Williams is up next on WGCV 620 AM, where knowledge is power.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
That moment, we arrived in the scene.
The storm had nearly destroyed the area.
This was our own community. Friends, family, people we grew up with, went to school with. We were there to help.
Several of us were working to rescue a family.
They made it down to the storm cellar, but the house collapsed on top of the cellar door and trapped them.
We had chainsaws going, and we had to use Humvees and heavy machinery to move massive trees and debris.
We got them out.
We helped a lot of people out.
It felt good to know I could really make a difference.
Right here, close to home, in my state.
It was one of those life-changing moments where I realized I am making a difference in these people's lives and mine. I'm a citizen soldier in the National Guard.
You can serve part-time and be there the moment your community needs you. Learn more at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the South Carolina National Guard, carried by the South Carolina Broadcasters Association and this station.
I don't feel good, and she said if he wakes up, she'll let me know, so...
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child die.
Good God! I got to ask you, what we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry Soul Food. What we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food.
Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, brought to you by Golden Crust Bakery, the fastest growing Caribbean-owned franchise in the United States. Golden Crust is committed to the delivery of quality food and excellent customer service. Visit them today at goldencrustbakery.com. I used to hate Germany while growing up. My father never discussed his German upbringing, even though he was obsessed with the country. We were never allowed to talk about it because the pain from the past was still alive in him. After his father died, our guests opened the boxes his father had left behind. They were filled with diaries, letters, articles, and other documents, which highlights questions about personal responsibility and evil during pre-war Nazi Germany. It's much more difficult to hate something that you come to understand. I no longer hate Germany. I realized that my father actually loved the country. He had a great upbringing there, and Jews in Germany had been a success story. But because of what occurred under Hitler, he felt such betrayal and pain, he could never bring himself to talk about it. Today, Torkel Wachter is a son of the German Jewish family which suffered under the Nazi regime. His book, The Investigation, outlines the experience as recorded by his paternal grandfather and father. Torkel, welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, and thank you for writing the book.
Thank you, Armstrong. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with you.
You know, you never experienced any of this firsthand, so to speak, right? But I'm sure when you were reading those articles and those diaries, it's as if you were there. What was that like for you?
Well, first of all, Armstrong, I think it's very important what you say, that being the son or the grandson of a victim doesn't necessarily mean that you're a victim yourself. And that's very important. But, you know, when I found these letters on the attic and I saw those stamps with the Imperial German eagle and the swastika, it was like, I mean, I couldn't believe what I saw. And then also reading on the letterhead that the letters were written in concentration camp. You know, we have all these pictures alive in our heads, what it would be like in a concentration camp. So I just couldn't believe what I saw.
But you know, it was from your father and paternal grandfather, and obviously that was very difficult for you. But you finally realized that you could no longer hate Germany. You had to let it go.
Yeah. Yes, and the reason for that is that, I mean, you can't hate a country because of what some people in that country did. I mean, I know of friends of my father who weren't Jewish, but who tried to fight Hitler just as he tried to fight Hitler, and who paid a very high price. So, I mean, I understood that being German doesn't necessarily mean that you or your family were Nazis. And that's a difference that I think is very important.
So, you don't believe that the German people caused the death of millions of people. You believe it was the Third Reich.
Yeah, it was the Third Reich, and sadly enough, too many Germans supported Hitler and the Nazis, or did not do enough to stop them. But I think it's very important that you can't blame a person just for being German. That is, in a way, it's not racism. It's at least having prejudice.
Milo?
I have a difficult time separating the two.
So do I. I have a very difficult time. I'm a little perplexed, but go ahead, Milo.
You know, that time in German history, while there were many people that did not support what Hitler did, many that didn't support it didn't take any action to inhibit it or to stop it. And I have to believe that failure to act when witnessing a wrong makes the witness culpable in the perpetration of the wrong.
Well, I agree, Milo. I think you're right that failure to act is, well, in a way, is also being
it's an endorsement.
having some kind of responsibility for what's happening. But well, the Nazis, they had in the elections of well, the last more or less free elections in Germany, the Nazis had a little less than 40% of the votes. So that doesn't mean that everybody supported Hitler. It means that a lot of people did not lift their hand against him, and they should have.
You know, I don't want to ignore the merit of your analysis, because you know, Torkel, I totally appreciate the numbers, and from the math would suggest that would be a reasonable conclusion from the math. But you know, the fact that 40% of the people voted, you know, did not support Hitler doesn't mean that 60% did, or that the 40% that didn't, you know, vote not to support him didn't support him. As we've seen in our own electoral process, a significant portion of the population is apathetic and doesn't engage in the electoral process. What we saw in World War II in Germany was a population that either actively supported him or, in fear of not supporting him, either ignored the process or just went along with it or stuck their head in the sand. And because of that apathy and the German people's willingness to turn a blind eye to what they saw being wrong, they helped propagate the very you know, atrocities that devastated your family and so many families like yours.
Yeah, well, you're right. I agree with you, and I think we have the same opinion on this. Just that I say that you can't blame a person just for being German.
No, of course not.
No, and,
you know,
and because I know many stories of Germans who tried to do something. Friends of my father's who paid a really high price for trying to do something against Hitler, and well, many of them died, and I feel a responsibility to give back to the dead their future and defend them and their positions. They didn't have any chance, but they tried their best. But you are definitely right. Too few people stood up against Hitler. Definitely, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Well, you know what? During that time, there are a lot of people who didn't want to die, but they didn't want to live at any price also, which became their principle. And while, you know, you can talk about this, you know, even in listening to you, the emotions for me are just so raw when you think about what people are capable of doing. And I know you wrote this book. Obviously, you were trying to finally talk about this and put this behind you. But I don't know if writing a book can put behind. I just think, because much has been written about this, so much has been said, much has been forgiven. It's one thing to say you're forgiven, but it doesn't mean that it changes inside of you with your own emotions when you think about what one man was allowed to do because the German people were weak.
Yeah, but you know, Milo, I'm not forgiving anybody, and I'm not in the position to give forgiveness, because the people who could give forgiveness, they're not with us any longer. The only people who could forgive are those who suffered. And as I said in the beginning, being the son or the grandson of a victim doesn't mean that you yourself are a victim. That's important. I mean, I've seen the suffering in my father, and through him, I've understood that horrible things happened without really knowing exactly what he had lived through, and I can't forgive. It's not up to me to do that.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and I don't think Armstrong was suggesting that forgiveness is your objective. I think these books and books written along similar lines are critical and very opportune at this time, because I think one of the things that's happening around the world is we have people becoming desensitized to these patterns of behavior.
And some people are trying to say that it never happened. Hold there, we're coming back. I'm Armstrong Williams. Carco Walker, he's our guest. We'll be back.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean, only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Our guest, Torkel Walker, as the United States marks the 80th anniversaries of the Holocaust, family story of good and evil is retold, and son of a German Jewish family uncovers diaries from pre-war Nazi Germany. And also, as always, Milo Pickney is joining us. You know, I've gone to Israel on 8 different occasions, and I've gone to Germany. I've gone to the places, and, you know, I'm reminded of what my parents taught me about the Holocaust as a boy, which still remains true, which is sort of the profundity and pain of which my parents felt it caused them as American blacks growing up in the South, that they felt they shared so much with Jewish history, and that they felt that there are things in Jewish history that are just too terrible to be believed but not too terrible to have happened. I never really understood that until of recent, because words may ease the pain, but they may also dwarf the tragedy, because for the Holocaust was uniquely evil in its genocidal singularity, a war against the Jews in which not all victims were Jews, but all Jews were victims. And so it's important to remember the Holocaust, for as we remember the 6 million Jewish victims of the Shoah, defamed, demonized, and dehumanized as prologue or justification for genocide, we have to understand that the mass murder of 6 million Jews and millions of non-Jews is not a matter of abstract statistics. Because unto each person there is a name, and unto each person there is an identity, and each person is a universe. And as our sages have told us from time and time again, whoever saves a single life, it is as if he or she has saved an entire universe. And I think the lessons that we have to learn, that when we ever see any signs of this raising its ugly head, we must stand firm that we, as a human community, Torkel, cannot tolerate this in any manner.
I agree, Milo. I agree, and I couldn't have put it any more beautiful than you did.
This is Armstrong.
And I really agree with you, and that's also the reason why I've written this book, and the subject I've written about is about an investigation that takes place against my grandfather, who is a senior civil servant and also a Jew. And in the investigation, you can read about a staged investigation in order to get rid of him from his workplace, where his colleagues were accusing him of being unreliable, politically unreliable. So that is the story that I'm telling in the investigation. And for your listeners, Armstrong, there are some free chapters available on my website at onthisday8yearsago.com, where they can find material and read more about the book.
Milo?
No, as I was saying before, I think the books like this are very timely. I think that we, in many respects, have forgotten about the heinous nature of the atrocities that this regime leveled on its native people, and the similarities between the behavior of Hitler and his crew and what we're seeing reflected in some of these Islamic fundamentalists. And I don't want to just limit it to the Islamic fundamentalists. I think it's the passionate apathetics that exist here in the United States, who quietly support and propagate racial disharmony and compromise. I think
you're so right, Milo, and I think that when democracy breaks down, things like this can happen, and that's why it's so important for us to stand up for democracy and defend our values, what we really believe in. I think that's very important today.
I think Milo,
I totally agree.
Milo makes a very important point, and that point is the danger of state-sanctioned incitement to hatred and genocide. We have a responsibility to prevent it. And also the danger of silence, the consequences of indifference. We have a duty to protect, and we don't always say anything, just like what happened in Cleveland, Ohio for the last 10 years. And you got to, in combating mass atrocity and the culture of impunity, the responsibility to bring war criminals to justice. That has to be a part of it. And the responsibility to talk the truth about what you're talking about today. You can talk about forgiveness, but you must also tell the truth, because the vulnerability of the powerless and the protection of the vulnerable is the true test of a just society.
Yes, and you know what? I don't think you can talk about forgiveness if like in my situation, I can't talk about forgiveness because I can't give forgiveness for what happened to my relatives. They are dead, and they will never come back. And And nobody can forgive that.
So where do we go from here? What do we learn? What do we take from your book?
Well, we learned that you have to stand up for values that you believe in, and it takes courage, but it really is worthwhile.
Milo?
I think we learned that, but I also think that there's a real lesson in seeking parallels. We need to be hardy in our desire to seek parallel behaviors, understand it, identify it, and react to it. What we saw in Germany in 1938 to 1946 is not dissimilar from what we're seeing in Pakistan, and Afghanistan, in Libya, and in many other places around the world. And we can't afford to be ignorant. And it's not dissimilar from what we're seeing down here in the south of the United States, although here it's undercover. It's economic. But it's the same psychology at work.
You know, I got to have to thank you, Torkel, for writing this book. How long was this process, and how did it change you?
Well, I've been working with this material for more than 10 years now. My oldest son is 13 years old, and I started when I realized that I couldn't really tell. I have 4 children now. When I realized I couldn't tell my children about who they are and about our family, so then I started to research in archives and to ask relatives for letters and photographs. And, you know, I was 40 years old when I, for the first time, saw a photograph of my grandmother. And I instantly recognized her because she had the exact same eyes as I do. And I understood that this must be my grandmother. And, you know, that's an experience that I think not too many people have. So I really grew up without knowing anything about my grandparents. And I'm very happy that this has changed, that I do know more about them now. And, you know, when I started to read the letters that they had written to my father, I also had to learn the language because they were Germans, they were German Jews. And I started to like the language, and I started to admire the culture. It was a very strange process. So I went from hating Germany without really knowing why to a kind of admiration and also a very great sadness for what took place then, which was really, it should never have happened.
How can we get a copy of your book?
You can get it from Amazon, from Barnes & Noble, from iBookstore, the usual places. And you can also find links, and you can read more, some free material on my website. You'll find it at onthisday80yearsago.com, onthisday80yearsago.com.
Listen, we can't thank you enough for joining us. We can't thank you enough for writing the book. And I know this is not easy for you. But it needs to be said, and we need to be reminded.
Yeah, and, you know, it is good to talk with good people about difficult things that you have experienced or that people you know have experienced. I really believe that. It's good to have people around you that can give you support and comfort you. So thank you very much, Armstrong
and Milo. Yes, it's our pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll have you back.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you very much.
Congratulations and all the best. Now, when Milo and I return, Masis Sarkisian, who's a lifelong entrepreneur with a strong desire since his early childhood years to be an inventor, a problem solver, and a visionary that sees problems as opportunities. Sound like our very own Milo. And in 1982, he launched his first technology-based enterprise, a computer consultant business, while studying mechanical engineering and computer science at the University of Illinois. He went on to found General Software to develop commercial products for the emerging personal computer platform. And General Software's first commercial product was a POS system for video rental stores. I know, Milo, you know all about that. No comment? Milo, you going quiet on me?
No, I'm here.
You're reading your text. You're reading your text.
I look forward to hearing some of his experiences.
Yes, like I said, I know you guys will have much in common. I know we're coming up on a break here, so I'd sort of like to hit my brakes on time. Milo, it's always fascinating having you as a commentator. I'm always amazed at the number of topics you're so prolific with.
I tell you, I was very fortunate to be raised by a father that wanted me to have multiple godfathers, and one of my godfathers was a Jewish war veteran who, upon return, had many similar experiences to share with me.
Oh, wow. And we'll be back. Don't go away.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back. Let me see if I guess. Masis, Mr. Sarkisian, are you on the line?
Yes. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Fine. So you see problems as opportunities. We're impressed with your background. You found it best to build the IBM-compatible computer systems, clones sold through retail and mail order channels. Talk about some of the problems that you saw and turn them into opportunities. And welcome to the show.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And to answer that question, I've always looked at opportunities as being able to solve problems. And when most people look at problems, they get discouraged. I get the opposite. I get very encouraged because every opportunity that we have starts with a problem. So I was looking at healthcare recently back in 2008, and just like many other Americans, I was thinking about healthcare and what the options will be in the future. And not wanting to just be a bystander, I decided to do something about it.
Logan? Milo? I'm sorry.
So what exactly did you do?
Well, what I did is I looked at what assets I had. I'm looking at this problem initially as a David and Goliath situation, thinking about how is one man going to solve problems when the entire nation seems to be stuck trying to answer this question. And slowly it came to me that, it really lies in purchasing power and creating the opportunity to create a community of individuals that get together. And we are all very knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to buying things in quantity. And we all know that when we buy things in quantity, we pay less for whatever it is that we're purchasing. And I simply applied that concept to solving this healthcare issue.
Explain that more. How do we solve this healthcare issue, if it can be solved?
Well, really, the challenge is, we have the greatest healthcare in the world, in my opinion. I know people come to the U.S. from all over the world seeking our healthcare. But what is the problem that I see that's happened over the few decades is that there has been a game that's been played between the providers and the payors. The providers being the doctors and the hospitals, and the payors being the insurance companies and the government. The game is simply where the providers have constantly inflated artificially the cost of their services and products, and the payors continually try to cut. And when an individual who is either uninsured or underinsured is caught up in between those two forces, regardless of what they have, they seem to lose.
And what's the solution?
So basically, the way we look at this problem and the challenge is how do we create an even playing field so that any individual, whether insured or not insured, can get the fair deal in their health care.
And how does one do that?
Well, I think the way we solve the problem, and really when you look at it, it is not really that complicated. What we did is we looked at the types of insurance that's out there. Typically, most people today, for the last decade or so, have been slowly moving towards high deductible plans. A few years ago, it became very popular for individuals to purchase HSA or health savings account plans in order to curtail the rising cost of their premiums. And what happens is when you do purchase something like this, whether you're an individual, self-employed, or you're getting this through your employer, what happens is every time you go see a doctor or buy your medications or have any service provided to you as it's related to your health care, your out-of-pocket cost is constantly rising. And this is a problem because for most of us as Americans, our income is actually declining, not rising. And with the cost of gasoline and everything else rising, it becomes more and more difficult for people to even afford the basic health care that they need.
No, I think we understand the problem. I'm curious, what are the specifics of your solution?
Well, the way we looked at this and the way we approached this is we took ordinary services, like, for example, visiting your doctor, whether it's for simple illness or preventive care or ongoing care. And we looked at what is the typical benefit that a doctor receives in terms of a payment from a payor, whether it's the government or a private payor like an insurance company. And we found that the average payout is around $42.50. And so when we started, we negotiated with the doctors, and we created a cash payment process, whereas when one of our members sees that doctor, they will pay $45 cash at the time when they receive their services. Now, recently, just a few months ago, that $45 we were able to negotiate down to only $39. So for a very low membership fee, you get to see a doctor for only $39, whereas, for example, many Americans who are insured are paying well over that to see their doctors.
So basically what you've set up is a discount club for healthcare. I assume you're paying the physicians a flat rate for that, and they accept a discounted rate. Your user, the patient, is paying a discounted rate, and there is a spread between the two rates that is your reimbursement.
Correct. Now, there are two major plans out there. There's the major medical, which we're all familiar with, and there's also thousands and thousands of discount plans, which anyone can just simply Google on the Internet and find cards that you can get for free, many of them, and use. But many of these discount plans, if not all these discount plans, are flawed. And the reason that they're flawed is that as an individual using the discount plan, you may know, for example, what the discount rate is. You may know, for example, the discount rate to see a doctor is 25%. But the problem is that you don't know the price from which it is being discounted from. So when you go see that doctor, they're simply discounting it from the highest price. And that price is born of this game that I mentioned earlier between the providers and the payors, where over time, for example, what normally something that should cost only $1 has been inflated to $3. And now that when you go see that doctor, they're giving you a discount because you're showing them a discount card, but that discount is being calculated from the $3 price as opposed to the $1 price. And
so I assume you have a published schedule.
Yeah, so you're essentially overpaying still when you're getting the discount. So what we did is we decided to solve this problem. And the way we solved the problem is that we, number one, require all our providers to agree to work off of CPT codes. CPT codes are medical billing codes that are universal and standard. These are codes that are utilized by providers when they bill your insurance company to be reimbursed.
And are the codes you're using, if I could ask you a question, are the codes you're using, are they bundled or unbundled, or are you using ICD-9s to modify?
They're basically bundled, but they vary by state because in some states we're using the Medicare or public aid rates for these CPT codes.
Right. So how do we break this down for the listener so that the listener gets a simple statement on what they get by using a program like yours? If you could present it in a manner where the average Joe could, because people don't understand CPTs and ICD-9 codes. These are things that are internal to the healthcare system. What the average listener wants to know is, I've got a $100 budget a month that I can allocate for healthcare. What can I expect to return for my $100 a month?
Well, number one, the cost of membership is very, very low. It's made to be very affordable because what we wanted to make sure is that the individual who becomes a member, they get the most benefits for the least amount of dollars that they input. For $25 a month, the individual can basically cover their entire family. And when we say entire family, we're talking about an extended family, meaning any 5 adults with any relationship living in the same household, all their children under the age of 18, does not matter how many kids they have, and even all their pets. So for less than 3 cents a day, they can get covered.
How do you address hospitalization and catastrophic losses?
Well, the way we approach that is for many individuals, number one, we always begin by stating the following, that this is not insurance. So we don't want to confuse people by making them think that they're purchasing insurance. This is something that you supplement, or if you cannot purchase major medical insurance, then this is an alternative to major medical insurance.
Hold that point. We're coming back. Milo? This is your show today, baby. I'm just the navigator. We're going for it today with our guest, Masis Sarkisian, lifelong entrepreneur. He's our guest. Phone lines are open with 866-620-6620. We'll be back.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Milo?
So I had a couple of questions for you, if I might. One of the concerns that many from healthcare, and I spent 20 years in the healthcare industry, at one point running one of the largest MSOs in the country for a period of 11 years. And one of the principal concerns that evolved out of Obamacare was that Obamacare would set the foundation for a great number of programs to come out that would presumably present a solution to the need for health care, but under the scrutiny of closer investigation would evidence a subpar delivery system, and more importantly, fail to meet the needs, the real critical needs associated with health care, which is hospitalization, pharmaceutical access, and diagnostic treatment. Programs such as the one that you're describing, I've yet to see one that actively and effectively presents a solution to those issues. Can you speak directly to how your program addresses those issues?
Well, I think that, number one, the way we are looking at the issues regarding health care, the basis of the Obama plan as the name says, it's trying to create an affordable health care plan for all Americans. And so typically for most Americans that are working and are not receiving benefits, in 2014, because of the Obama plan, everyone will somehow receive health care, whether it is through an exchange or directly through their employer. Somehow they're supposed to receive these plans. But for many of them, there's a lot of confusion. And the confusion comes from not knowing how the exchange system is going to work, and also not understanding, what the costs for the plans are and what benefits that they're receiving.
But you're addressing Obamacare. You're not answering my question. My question is specifically and directly targeted at the program that you describe as a solution to the health care problem. And my question is hyper focused on how do you plan to address pharmaceutical access, critical care, extended stay hospitalization, and diagnostic treatment. How will your program successfully address those three core problem elements? Can you speak to each one individually?
Sure. I'll start with pharmaceutical. With the pharmaceutical, our plan currently provides access to 60,000 retail pharmacies nationwide. And in addition to all of the name brand pharmacies, we also have small independent pharmacies that are part of the network, where individuals can receive discounts ranging from 10 to 90%, but the average discount being around 62%. For individuals that are on maintenance medications, whether you're diabetic or taking hypertension medications or any of the maintenance meds, then we also have greater savings because you can utilize our mail order pharmacy and mail order your medications at a significant reduced cost.
Is your mail order domestic?
Somewhere between 70 to 85%.
Is your mail order domestic?
Yes, we have both domestic and also Canadian mail order.
All right. As you know, Masters, the Canadian mail order has been a problem that has plagued America for the last 12, 13 years with expired pharmaceuticals, subpar pharmaceuticals, and in many cases, actual, fraudulently produced products that are absent quality control or appropriate testing, and in more cases than not, fail to meet the minimum compliance requirements with our drug screening here. What protocols have you put in place to ensure that the quality of the materials that your subscribers are receiving is up to America's standards?
Well, the one thing that we've done is starting out with the choice. The choice is always with the individual. They get to choose what the source is for their medication. So if you're not comfortable with getting your medications from Canada, then you're certainly capable of getting them from any of the U.S. fulfillment centers.
Right.
But if
and your program actually provides a direct access discount, say, for CVS?
Yes. So you have the ability to go through CVS or Walgreens or a number of other mail order providers.
Great. Tell me about diagnostics. Diagnostic testing continues to be one of the highest costs associated with healthcare delivery, seconded only by hospitalization. What access do the members of your group, your discount group, have to diagnostic and treatment centers?
We have a very extensive diagnostic program. You can have simple X-rays or MRIs, CT scans, PET scans, ultrasound. All of these diagnostic services are available to our members at significant savings. I can share with you one story that just recently happened in my family. I'm one of the individuals that's very lucky, and I'm one of the individuals that has a PPO plan from a major carrier. Now, my only issue is I have an HSA plan. So my out-of-pocket cost is very high, up to the first $7,200. Recently, a family member needed to have an abdominal ultrasound. And when we called our major medical plan to find out what our out-of-pocket costs will be for this diagnostic service, the abdominal ultrasound, we were told that it would be somewhere between $600 and $700, roughly $670. Now, a member in our network would only pay $120 for the same exact abdominal ultrasound.
But they would pay for it out of pocket.
Out of pocket. Well, similar to what I would have to pay if I was using my insurance card, the $670 would be out of pocket.
So what are the...
And just to let you know, my cost, my premium on a monthly basis for myself and my family of my wife and 2 children is $1,200 a month.
You know, it's interesting because one of the things that is a recurring problem in healthcare, especially in the sector of healthcare where people don't have insurance or are underinsured, is we see diminished compliance with the recommended or appropriate health regimens. Consequently, the losses that we do experience are exponentially higher than those of patients who are going through regular health maintenance.
I was told you wasn't live today.
Who is this on the air? Whose voice is this? Milo, did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. That was very weird.
Weird.
So, you know, I'm curious how, you know...
Oh, it's cool, but I'm here, but that's what I was told, that's all.
Who is this?
I don't know. Who's that? I can't...
Whose voice is this? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm curious, you know, what provisions has your program put in place for you know, low compliance and the associated increase in cost that is typically attached to it, and more importantly, is the program sustainable with respect to that?
Well, the way that we approach this sustainability is that what we're finding, and it's a pleasant surprise, is that more and more providers are seeking us out to join our network. The reason being is that we provide an alternative plan for how they get paid. And if you're a provider and you're providing services, but you're not getting paid on time, well, there's the cost value of the time value of money, and also the cost of filing and waiting for your money to arrive. And oftentimes, what you planned on receiving might not be what you receive, because the providers find ways not to pay or to pay less than what you're asking for. So this has put a lot of businesses, a lot of doctors, a lot of providers into financial ruin because they find themselves in situations where they can no longer sustain their practices and they have to close. When we show up, we provide for them very simple yet very comprehensive plan that delivers patients to them in a way that both the patient and the provider win. Because again, like I said earlier, we have found a way to create a level playing field for both.
Well,
and that's how we feel this plan will sustain, because everyone wins in this plan.
You know, I wish you luck with it. I'm always concerned when I hear about these plans because, you know, as you earlier stated, this is not insurance. This is a supplement to insurance, and it's not a replacement. And that's neither, you know, good nor bad. It's just what it is. The challenge lies in that the very people that programs like yours are targeted to, more often than not, can't even support these programs.
Well, look, how can people get more information on your program?
Well, they could go to our website, aaa911health.com, or if they like, they can call our toll-free number at 888-681-9847.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us, and all the best. Milo, brother, it's
Thank
always
you
a
so much
pleasure.
for having me.
We'll talk to you later on during our live Sirius 110 broadcast at 6:15 p.m.
See you later.
All right, take care, everyone.